What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 2 of the Rise to Glory here with Gibraltar Apex in Football Manager 2016. Hopefully you guys are good. Today we have a live comm against Gibraltar Phoenix in the kind of Segunda division. It's our first really big game, I guess, of the season. As you can see, looking at the league table here, they are in first place. We are in second. So yeah, it's a game with some significance, I guess you could say. The reason that we're doing this game and not the Red Imps one is actually because our fixtures have been kind of shuffled since the end of last episode. As you can see, 4 games to tell you guys about. We'll cover these now. The first result was against Boca Juniors, and we won 3-0 to Thomas Legea, as you can see here, getting 2. We'll get there eventually. And also, you may notice 2 appearances for Gibraltar, 1 goal. I just want to mention something that I noticed watching back the first episode, and that was that I kept saying Gibraltar instead of Gibraltarian, which is the kind of nationality of Gibraltar. If I get that wrong throughout this series, I'm going to try not to. I'm now apologising in advance for the next 100 times I do it wrong. But anyway, yeah, Gibraltarian, Legea, or Legea. I have problems. His name's Thomas as well. I said it was Simon last time. I'm sorry, Thomas. Please don't hate me. Anyway, good win there. Next result, 2-0 against Europa Pegasus. Warren Bright grabbing a goal and Guerrero grabbing a goal. Guerrero, been a very good centre-back for us so far this season, putting a good set of performances. And also, Warren Bright, a player who we didn't talk about last time because he didn't start our first game this season. He's had a great start to the year. 6 goals in 4 games. You're probably wondering, well, Jack, why is he playing so much? Well, tragic tale here, boys. Craig Poggio, the man, the myth, the legend, out for 2 to 3 months with a damaged Achilles tendon, unfortunately. Warren Bright's come into his place, and 6 goals in 4 games. Cannot complain about that. And yeah, he got a few against Europa Pegasus there. Anyway, the next game was against Leo FC. Again, Warren Bright, the man, the myth, the legend, with 2. Kadrion Drimmy getting a goal as well. To be honest, Drimmy been a very big player for us. We paid a lot of money for him in terms of his wages. He is one of the big earners at the club. I was a little bit concerned about that. But so far, the 19-year-old has got 2 goals and 2 assists in 4 games, which we can't really complain about. And he is also a former Gibraltar Phoenix man, so he might have a bit of a role to play in today's game. Of course, we also have Griffo, who plays out on the left, the 25-year-old, and he's had a good start to the year. 3 goals and 3 assists for him. All in all, it's been a pretty dominant start to our time here in Gibraltar. And there was one more dominating performance. This was against Magpies, and it was a 3-0 win with Warren Bright grabbing a hat-trick. What can you say about that? This guy, fantastic player for us. Good in the air, good on the deck. Not the fastest player by any means, but does have a little bit of pace about him. And he's been scoring for fun so far this year. So that's how we've gotten in terms of the fixtures. In the league, we currently sit in 2nd place. We have got some games in hand. I mentioned the fact fixtures have been rejigged, and the reason fixtures were being rejigged was, well, because a lot of our players were actually being called up for the Gibraltar national side, which is a little bit of a surprise. You can see here, obviously, 2nd place. We've won 5 out of 5. If we beat Gibraltar Phoenix today, that'd be a great result. We'd go ahead of them with some games in hand. You can see we do have a lot of games in hand on a lot of the other teams in our Division 2, even at this early stage. So anyway, I did mention about the kind of Gibraltar situation, the fact we had some players playing in the national side. Let's take a look at that. And as you can see here, actually, I believe we're the club with the most players in the national side at the moment, which is a little bit of a surprise. I don't know why so many of our players have been called up. Obviously, these were all free agents we brought in. I'm not sure if it's kind of the hype of the fact they've come to the club and that our club has decent rep. I don't know if it's just that they're naturally good players. I mean, they're not bad players, put it that way. Players like Nicholas Alexander-Reyes, a very good right-back, especially for a team and a nation like Gibraltar at the moment. And also, obviously, Bruzon here. Again, really good centre-back. But I am surprised that these guys are playing in the national team. It's worth noting that Legea has been in there. Obviously, he got a goal. And the reason he got a goal, actually, was because, well, I can't believe I'm saying that this soon, kind of in the save, because usually it takes a few years for this to happen. But Gibraltar, they won a bloody game. They beat San Marino 2-0. Cannot complain about that. Jake Gosling grabbing 1 goal. He actually plays for Bristol Rovers and is quite a nice little winger. But also Legea getting a goal for them. And they beat San Marino 2-0. And now let's take a look at Gibraltar, because they've climbed up the world rankings with some half-decent performances there. And if we have a look at the overview, up to 205th in the world. That is right. Gibraltar now officially better than Cook Islands, Mongolia, Anguilla, and Djibouti. I refuse to believe that's a real place. I'm going to go get my atlas out after this Who has an atlas? I'm going to go on Google Maps after this episode and find this place on the map. Don't believe it's real. Anyway, that's what's been going on at the club. In terms of big performers here, you may notice actually our squad is a lot smaller than it was last episode. We had a load of loanees who I brought in. They all kicked up a fuss about lack of first team football, and so ultimately I decided, you know what, you want to complain, I'll just terminate all your loans. They weren't actually being paid anything to play for us. It was more a case of getting some cheap squad depth. But I'd rather keep, a fairly good atmosphere in the changing room rather than having kind of 5 or 6 loan players on no money that were kind of contributing towards their wages, kind of kicking up a fuss and crying about lack of first team football. In terms of big performers so far this year, well, Warren Bright's a big player, obviously Drimmy as well. I guess this is Buagia. I'm just going to call you Danny. I think that's more convenient, isn't it? This guy, 20 years old, not played at any youth level for Gibraltar just yet, but a very good player, on £200 a week, which is actually one of our bigger earners. I'm actually surprised he's on that much. But despite only having 1 assist in 4 appearances, an 8.15 average rating certainly implies, that he really does contribute in the team. And to be fair, he's been a very nice little player for us. He's kind of filled that void with a roaming playmaker in our 4-4-2 so far this year, and hopefully that is something that is going to continue with us into today's game. In terms of other players to really emerge into the side, there hasn't been too many that you've not been kind of met with before. I guess Shembri is worth mentioning. This guy, 321 appearances for Gibraltar. Right back and centre back. I definitely see him as more of a right back. His lack of ability in the air really does hinder him. Free jumping reach on a centre back. Really not a massive fan of that, unfortunately, with some of the injuries we have had at the moment. I think we need to play like this, unfortunately. Bruzon. I guess I could play Bruzon. Part of me wants to play Bruzon, but Bruzon's not had the best average rating so far, and Shempri has done better. I don't know if I want to change my mind last minute. I'm going to do it. I'm going to bring on Bruzon. But other than that, the starting 11 for today's game against Gibraltar Phoenix is very much the same team that played the previous fixture. I feel like we've got quite a nice, well-balanced little team going on here. You might see a little bit more kind of rotation over the next kind of period, I guess. But I mean, if you look at the fixtures here, they've been very, very spaced out. We've played 5 games in the space of 2 months just because of how things have worked out. Our fixture schedule does get a little bit more packed, next month. And in fact, we're going to see a lot of games in January particularly. It's worth noting in Gibraltar, of course, that we kind of run the standard season, but because we only have 22 league games, seasons are fairly short and fixtures are fairly spaced out. So yeah, 22 games in the league. I didn't really talk about the other competitions, but there is the Division 2 League Cup, which is a league cup featuring all the teams in Division 2, surprise, surprise. And the other tournament that we're in is the Rock Cup, which is a bit like the FA Cup in England. It's essentially a domestic cup with all the kind of teams in Gibraltar battling it out. Whilst I don't think we could win the Rock Cup, that could be quite an interesting tournament to, I guess, gauge where we stand in kind of Gibraltar football at the moment, or Gibraltarian football at the moment. We'll get there eventually with that kind of phrasing. Anyway, let's get into today's game against Gibraltar Phoenix. Just a quick look at their most important player, Kevin Boateng. Not Kevin Prince Boateng, but actually an Englishman. Where did he start his career? Okay, he's never played in England. He doesn't look too bad, Kev. We're going to have to play fairly well, I think, to do well in this game. Although, to be fair, Gibraltar Phoenix, they don't have the strongest squad in the world. Some of the players we have probably outclassed them. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy by any means. They're going to line up with a 4-4-1-1. We're just going to show some players onto their weaker foots. Unfortunately, my assistant, super incompetent. He's not very confident in his tactical abilities. Anyway, I'm going to tell the players I expect nothing but a win to keep the good kind of form going. Obviously, 5 wins in 5 is very, very good. I expect us to win the league this year, if I'm honest, with the squad that we have. But 5 out of 5, not a bad start considering it's a 22-game season. And this might be our toughest game yet. Gibraltar Phoenix, they've played 7, won 5, drawn 2. So they are unbeaten as well. And while they do sit top of the league, granted they played a few extra games than us, but we do have a chance here to leapfrog them top of the table, as I mentioned earlier. And I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do that here. We've had 4 clean sheets in a row since that opening game of the season. We've looked very, very good defensively. I want to see more of that today, hopefully, against Gibraltar Phoenix, who are actually dominating possession at the moment. Although we do have possession here, and Gilbert, the left-back, whips it in, cleared away, but he might have a second bite of the cherry. He does. Warren Bright is there, adds to his goal-scoring tally, his 7th goal of the season. Gilbert, again with another assist. He got one last episode in the first game of the season. To say he only has 3 crossing, I mean, he seems to be able to put in a half-decent ball a lot of the time, and that is a lovely ball. You might notice our pitch looks a bit funny. I believe this is because it's a hybrid pitch where it's like part fake, part real grass, and it's how it looks in FM. I think there's some mods for better grass textures. I might get my hands on some of them. I'm not a massive fan of how the pitch texture looks, but hopefully, you know, in time, you know, maybe in a few decades' time, we'll have our own stadium. And, you know, the grass will no longer be a problem and will no longer annoy me. But anyway, looking at it here, half-time, 1-0 up, not been a lot of chances either way. You can see, despite their superior possession, Gibraltar Phoenix not done a lot with it. A really good first-half performance by us. A shame we've only created that one kind of goal-scoring chance, but at least we took it. Warren Bright looking super clinical for us. And we're on the attack here again. Drimmy, Reyes, back post. Pizarro clears it away to Sargent. We'll lay it out wide to Gilbert. Already 1 assist to his name. Can he whip in a ball here to Sargent? Edge of the box. Griffo. Leguia. Saved away by Zamet. That was a half-decent chance. Unfortunately, though, parried wide. Although, we might have a chance from this corner. Although, it is cleared quite well there. And no, nothing going to emerge from that. We need another goal here. I have this thing in FM. And I don't know if this is the same for everyone. But as long as I'm winning a game 1-0, I always anticipate them to get the next goal. No matter how many goals or how many chances, you know, we've had more, no matter how much more possession we've had, I always feel like we're going to concede goals. And we have conceded a goal there. Aaron Sands grabbing the goal for Phoenix. Going to make it 1-1 here. Their first shot on target of the game, and well, it's a goal. It was a tackle or a block rather, and a bit of a lucky break. Bruzon just didn't clear away the ball, and Sands ran onto it, capitalised on that chance fairly well. Questionable defending, and to be honest, I've seen a fair bit of that already in my time in Gibraltar. There's been some pretty bad goalkeeping mistakes I've seen. We've not had two. Well, actually, I say that there was one bad one last live com as well, but I tell you what, it's specialist, some of the stuff we've been seeing in Gibraltar so far. But anyway, we are on the attack here. There is 15 minutes left. We could make a sub or two, but you know what? We're on the attack here. We'll wait. And that is a chance which almost goes in from Reyes' cross. So you might have a chance from the corner. Whipped in. Guerrero blocked away, and Bright not going to be able to get there. That's going to be the end of that highlight. What changes do I want to make? We'll bring on Daniel Gonzalez. Is that Gonzalez? I think that's Gonzalez. Well, it's not got a Z, but it's a weird. It might be a weird spelling. I'm just going to call you Danny. I feel like we have 2 Dannys in our team at the moment. We do, because we've got Danny. Yeah, that one. Centre mid Danny. I really wish I could pronounce names. It's an on-running joke, I feel, on my channel at this point. The fact I just suck with names. I feel like with this save, because at least we're managing a British overseas territory, hopefully a lot of our players will have kind of English names. There might be the odd Spanish name thrown in there for good measure. But yeah, don't do pronunciations, me. But anyway, we don't do wins either, apparently. It's 1-1 here, unless there's going to be a very, very late chance, which there could be. Drimmy on the attack. Can we get the ball in? We can't. That's probably going to be all she wrote for this match, unfortunately. Although, we have a chance with the guy whose name I can't say, unfortunately. He is offside. Linesman flag went up very early there. This game is going to finish 1-1. Not the worst result. Not a great result. Considering our really good form kind of going into this game, I'm not particularly happy with that. But at the same time, you know, we keep that 2-point cushion on Phoenix. With 2 games in hand, it's worth noting. Defensively, still only 2 goals conceded all year. Could be a little bit better, but I'm not going to get too kind of hung up on that result. That's probably going to be one of the harder games this season. We will still have to go and play them away, but you know what? It could have gone a lot worse, that game, so I'm pretty happy with how we've done there. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up this episode from me. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Pretty good start to our time here in Gibraltar. A little bit disappointing perhaps to lose that winning run and get the club's first draw in their history, but we'll try and bounce back from that. As always, if you have enjoyed, smash the like button. If you've got any comments, leave them down below. There'll be a link to the series playlist in the top of the description. And other than that, guys, it is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.